discussions. Welcome.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, the chairpersons for Senate committees, and more specifically Senate Committee for Education, other chairpersons. I've seen the Majority Leader of Senate, Honorable Aaron Cheriot, Honorable Senators present, Governors present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, as introduced, PS for State Department for Basic Education. And allow me, Madam Chair, Senator Chair, to register the apologies of the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Julius Migos, who is on official duty abroad, and asked me to represent him. And allow me again also, Senator Chair, to introduce the CEOs who have accompanied me. I would only request them to stand wherever they are and just wave. CEOs of state corporations, KICD, SEPU, Samastea, NEC, UNESCO. Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker and Chair of this session, the topic that I've been given to discuss is the state of education in Kenya, management of education policy and standards. And I'll try as much as possible to highlight some of the key policy issues. And to begin, at the onset, please allow me to express my profound gratitude to the Senate for the wisdom of hosting this assessment and planning retreat. Inviting the Ministry of Education alongside other key national government ministries is walking the talk on the essence of consultative and complementary relationship between the different arms of government in oiling the cogs of the functional and robust democracy. More importantly, it speaks to the shared recognition and appreciation of our nation's most vital resource, our children. Secondly, it is a bold statement of your value attachment to education. Indeed, yourselves, as well as myself, are but a living testimony of what education can do. Your journey to the August House began with the foundational learning. Arguably, it is education which brought you the ticket, or rather which brought you the ticket to sit in this audience today. And I can give a very classic example. My teacher here, she was my principal when I was a student leader at the University of Eldoret. Professor Kamar here was my principal. And there are many other teachers, of course, in the room, including a few senators here. Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, our country is at the cusp of fundamental shifts in education. Last year, for the first time, the pioneer cohort of grade 9 learners under the competence-based education sat for the Kenya Junior Secondary Education Assessment. I'm happy to report that we are very close to 100% transition to grade 10. We have also successfully retooled majority of our teachers to align their pedagogical skills to competence-based education demands. I also confirm that we have kept our promise to hire more than 100,000 teachers, and we are counting, to ease the classroom burden and move our ratio of learners to teachers closer to the global standards. As we speak now, with 12 million learners in basic education, that is from primary, junior to secondary, we have 58,000 teachers, meaning the ratio is 1 to 26 across the board. The global standard requires us to have 1 to 25 learners so that we meet the global standard. The ministry has also invested heavily on expansion of infrastructure in schools, including in the construction of classrooms, laboratories, and wash areas. For the first time in our public schools, capitation arrived before learners this term. It is actually historical that this government, for the first time in many, many years, was able to send money to school before schools opened. I did receive capitation money on 20th of December. And by 2nd of January, I had sent all the money, the 44 billion, to our schools. And the schools were opening on the 5th, meaning we were 3 days ahead of opening schools. And it's happening for the very, very first time in many, many, many years. Now that we have successfully identified and expunged ghost learners from our records in the recently concluded enrollment verification exercise, we are confident that we have reliable data to inform better planning and resource allocation in our schools. And I also want to report to the Senate that apart from cleaning the register, cleaning the data in our education system, we have also taken decisive action against teachers who we suspect inflated the numbers. We have also taken action against the sub-county directors of education who we suspect are capable with the idea of ghost students. Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, the framers of our constitution vested in the Senate an important role in the oversighting county governments, which are responsible for many aspects of fundamental learning. Educationists agree that basic literacy, numeracy, and social-emotional skills is the mother of all learning. Whereas Kenya ranks high in pre-primary enrollment globally at 94.2%, there are worrying statistics crying for our urgent attention. For instance, 3 in every 10 grade 6 learners cannot solve a grade 3 level mathematics problem. Equally, nearly half of grade 6 learners cannot comprehend a grade 3 English story. We must therefore reflect on how to strike a healthier quality versus quantity balance. And at this juncture, I therefore request, honorable senators, that you give us more space and authority to ensure that we match, or rather we work closely on matters quality assurance between our sub-county directors of education, our quality assurance officers in the field, with the quality assurance officers who are working for the county government, so that we can be able to bridge this very, very important gap. Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, the adage that education is a key still holds true. But do we really have enough doors for the keys to open? That is the big question we have. Those of us privileged to be in leadership have a responsibility to not only design the right key, but also provide enough doors to open. The 2010 Constitution in Article 43 and 53 states that every child has a right for free and compulsory basic education, nutrition, and health care. The Basic Education Act of 2013 promotes and regulates free basic education and standardizes school management, while the Early Childhood Education Act of 2021 governs the provisions and regulations of pre-primary education. These legal delineations underpin the importance of our foundational learning. The architects of our Constitution evidently anticipated gray areas due to the duality of responsibilities between the national and county governments in the implementation of foundational learning. They therefore unpacked the respective roles as follows in the fourth schedule. Under the national government, we have funding, policy formulation, curriculum development, quality control, and national assessments. Whereas under county governments, we have implementation and management of pre-primary education and child care facilities, including infrastructure development, hiring of teachers, and school feeding programs. The national government, in doing its best to meet its is doing its best to meet its obligations. This week, for instance, I appeared before the Education Committee of the National Assembly to defend a 245 billion basic education budget. Collectively, the Education Ministry has hit a historical high of 700 billion. It has never happened that we have a budget for education globally, for basic education, for universities, and for TVETs, hitting 700 billion. For many years, the budget has been at around 400, 500 billion. But for the first time under Kenya Kwanza government, we have a budget of 700 billion plus. As I brought to the attention of the committee, we still have, of course, out of the 245 billion budget of basic education, we have a deficit of 111 billion to optimally fund basic education, especially free primary education, the school feeding program, and national assessments and examinations. Aware of the raging emotive debate around the future of training and certifications of ECDE tutors. This debate is timely and healthy. The ministry is committed to ensuring that the eventual policy position is reflective of a genuinely consultative process that respects the realities of local and global and future education needs. Mr. Speaker, this issue of ECD tutors or ECD training is a 2-year-old issue. It was decided 2 years ago. And clearly, as a ministry, we are very keen on listening more to our stakeholders so that we come up with a very clear roadmap on transition, because the Presidential Working Party made it very clear that we consolidate the training of ECD and primary. But as a ministry, we are keen and we are open to further consultations with the Senate and with other stakeholders so that we come up with a solution that is for the benefit of this country. Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, may I now turn the spotlight on the expected role of county governments in effective foundational learning. The 2010 Constitution entrusted ECDs to the county governments. This was intended to bring the most critical stage of human development closest to the people. Essentially, therefore, you are the ultimate guardians of about 4 million Kenyan children currently enrolled in our pre-primary education centers. We have a duty of care to provide reasonable infrastructure and dignity in our ECD centers. Regrettably, pre-primary learning in some counties in this country is still being held under trees in dilapidated structures I urge this House, honorable senators, to exercise its oversight mandate to ensure that county integrated development plans prioritize the construction of child-friendly, safe, and modern ECD centers around the country. We must also put our house in order in the important matter of our ECD teachers. The current status of many of our ECD teachers is unacceptable. In many counties, there is delayed salaries, lack of pension schemes, and a take it or leave it volunteer mentality towards these professionals is common across the counties. An unhappy teacher cannot be trusted with nurturing a child's mind. The Senate should prioritize pushing for harmonization of the schemes of service for all the teachers of ECDs around the country. We need to abandon a stopgap short-term contracts to terms that attract and retain competent, well-trained professionals. I dare say the national government is already holding the how-to candle on this. County governments should match this strategy at the entry level of our education system, because this is critical in ensuring that we bring up young people into the mainstream of our education system. Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, equally pertinent is the issue of providing food to our pre-primary learners. You cannot teach a hungry child. While some counties have pioneered impressive school feeding programs, others have no provision at all. This creates a lottery of birth where a child's nutritional health depends entirely on the county of birth or residency. And this is really, really very unfortunate. I urge the Senate to advocate for the national county nutritional framework that guarantees at least one fortified meal a day for every ECD learner across all the 47 counties. As I edge closer to the end of my presentation, I want to reflect on equity in our ECDs. There is a policy disconnect between the ECD level managed by the counties and the primary level managed by the national government. The ideal long-term solution to this would be to establish start to finish comprehensive basic education schools. As a meanwhile, the Senate can support the education sector by insisting on and causing the implementation of a uniform curricula across the competence-based education. That's from ECD, we go to primary, we go to junior school, we go to senior school. Should be really very, very comprehensive, supporting the operationalization of KEMIS, Kenya Education Management Information System, to create a reliable, integratable, and trackable data in equitable resource allocation and accountable utilization, especially in ASAL and urban poor regions. Honorable senators, it is not in doubt that a legal framework that is clearer on the roles of the national and county government in education matters is welcome. I'm therefore glad to note that the proposed Basic Education Amendment Bill 2025 that is now before the National Assembly offers a historic opportunity to clarify these roles while strengthening coordination and resource allocation. I therefore appeal to senators to give the bill the attention that it deserves when the right time comes. Honorable senators, I thank you for your continued oversight of the county governments, particularly in management of our education, particularly ECD. Your oversight is the bridge between the child's potential and their reality. By holding county governments accountable, you help assure that funds meant for our youngest learners actually reach the classroom. Together, we can give our youngest citizens the start they deserve. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank Thank you, PS. Another applause for the PS. May I therefore, without much ado, invite the discussants. As I mentioned earlier, we have Senator Betty Montet, Chairperson of the Senate Standing Committee on Education, and Honorable Eric Mutahi, Governor, County of Kericho, and Chairperson of the Education Committee. Please come forward together. And even as they are coming, I want to say one thing about each one of them. The Honorable Senator Betty Montet has chaired this committee, is the chair of the committee, and has been extremely keen in ensuring the clarion call on education for all. Since she took over the leadership of the Standing Committee on Education, the committee has pursued matters relating to access to education by all children, and in particular, have been focusing on the development of classrooms, some of the issues that were raised by the peers at the county levels. The committee has been keen in ensuring that all children get basic education, including the school feeding program. So we'll hear the survey that has been done by the committee from the chair, Senator Montet. The Honorable Dr. Eric Mutahi is the chairperson of education, as I said, in the Council of Governors, and he will be telling us the experience of the Council of Governors in relation to some of the issues that have also been raised by the peers, especially on the areas that touch on Schedule 4, that is ECD and VTCs, and the challenges between our ECDs and primary schools, their practical challenges that we have seen on the ground, which I know the governors have been talking about and conveying. So let me not take much time. Let me invite Senator Betty Montet to come forward. Yes. To do your presentation from there,
Thank you, Session Chair. I'm lucky the Session Chair is also a member of my committee. And first, I want to thank the PS and my co-chair, Governor, Your Excellency, for being here for this meeting. Maybe what I could start with, Bona PS, it's something not very interesting, because as a Senate, these members here have forwarded so many statements to your ministry, and I have 54 which have not been answered. 17 date back to 2004, 34 date back to 2025, and 3 are for this year. The reason why I'm bringing this Bona PS is because I'm sure most of these members would have questions they would want to ask, or they've always wished to ask the ministry, but we've not received those answers. So as you prepare, maybe you can give us a way forward on how we are going to go about it. Secondly, maybe I would have said it would have been good if we also had the PS TVET, because, you know, as a Senate, we are minded to do matters, those which are devolved. And we had a good discussion with the PS about 2 weeks ago, and most of the figures you've actually given us, we got them from her. And though maybe there are few issues here and there, I'm sure there are issues where we can sit as a committee and maybe iron out. To start with, maybe I would want to talk about what to emphasize, and that is on ECDE. That is our core mandate as a Senate. And I would wish to report here today that this committee has has visited 9 counties to oversight the implementation of ECDE. We've also met with 29 governors in the last 8 months. And this can tell you peers that are alive on what is happening on ground on matters ECDE. Actually, members, as you are aware, and most of you, when we visit these counties, we invite the sitting senators. The matter on ECD on ground has not been very rosy. It has been very, very unfortunate. It has been very discouraging. But what I can say is from the time we started this inquiry, I think, and I'm sure the chair of Education ECOG will agree with me that governors are waking up to do better, and things are changing, and we are hoping that in the next 6 months after our meetings, and if we are able to do our oversight visits, things will be different, and we'll be able to tell Kenyans how we are doing, and we are getting better on ECDE matters. I don't know whether you want me to go to that, or you want members first to ask their questions so that I can input also as they ask to the PS directly. Chair.
If you have finished your summary and you're comfortable, we are okay.
I still have so much which I can I can try to come in as members also, ask those questions direct to the PS.
Okay, because all we wanted was we give you a global overview to reduce the questions from the floor. But if you have done that overview, then I'll be happy to move to the governor to give his own overview. Questions will come in, and the 3 of you will still have to respond to something.
Chair, I think I'll be comfortable that way because I'm part of this team. Yes. So whatever the CS and the PS answers, then I can be able to also add on what we've done as a committee. That's on fine. The same.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Kamal and the Vice Chair of this committee, Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker, the Majority Leader, who is also my Senator. And we also have a team from COG here. I'm not alone. We have our chair who has worked in, and we also have our CEO, Mary Mwiti. That said, first of all, I would wish to indicate, members, that as we discuss ECDE, is that when devolution happened, at the onset of devolution, the function of ECDE was not costed. And therefore, no attendant resources were provided to this function from day one. The function was given to the counties, and there was no proper costing of the same, and therefore the counties have been struggling with the shareable revenue they have and the onsource revenue to be able to meet our expectation. Number 2, in summary, because of time, there is tremendous progress that has been made in ECD across the counties. When you took over ECDs after devolution 2013, practically there were no functional classrooms across the nation. Children were learning under the trees. But today, as we speak today, we reflect with joy that we have an increased access as of 2025 of 3.8% increase in primary enrollment, rising to 2,953,207 as it is on 2025, supported by a 2.9% increase in the number of schools, now totaling to 48,721 ECD classrooms across the nation. Infrastructure development, the construction of over 5,950 classrooms by county governments in 2025 alone. Teacher employment, counties have employed over 50,104 primary school teachers, building a workforce from the scratch, which was not there. Because when devolution happened, most of those caregivers who were the ECD teachers were not recognized in any way. They were not trained, most of them, and there were no functional system in both the software, which are the teachers, and the physical infrastructure. And today, the county governments have employed close to 50,104 primary school teachers. Counties now provide learning materials to a number of our ECD centers, which includes textbooks and even materials such as chairs and tables, which are tailored to meet the child at that level. And a number of counties today are actually supplying and providing chairs and tables for the children at that level, while at the same time, a number of counties are equally also giving out the school feeding program. We have classical cases like Bungoma County, where they are giving wholesale porridge, and other counties that are also doing the feeding. See, the senator is not very excited, but I'll ask the speaker to protect me with this one. Anyway, so we have such, and there's progress in terms of the feeding program. Distinguished senators, I would also want to mention that as a chair of the Committee of Education, we have formulated, in partnership with experts in health and nutrition, a school feeding policy that will be speaking to a unified feeding program across the county and advises the counties and stakeholders on the nature of meals that these children need to be fed, so that feeding program is not feeding programs for the sake of it. Lastly, is that on matters FTC, there has been tremendous improvement in terms of vocational training colleges across the counties. And we've seen attempts by the county governments to allocate resources of capitation to these particular FTCs. However, even as I conclude, we have, like I indicated, that these functions was not costed. In fact, up to 2018, the national government used to give 5 billion conditional grant to support FTC. But until when around 2018, the same money was scrapped and it was taken away. And so FTCs have been left to struggle under the little resources that the governors have within their disposal. As I conclude also, PS has mentioned a policy that was given some 2 years ago on the merging of the ECD training with the primary training. And I would wish to indicate here, PS, that we are in total disagreement with that policy, because the curriculum of ECD training is specialized, and it is meant globally to train these teachers as caregivers. And that is why if you look into the various pedagogical skills across scope of what they are being trained, is completely different from what the other levels is doing. And so it is out of a lot of respect, PS, that we have written to you as COG and requested to you that you recall the circular that you provided to allow for proper consultation on the same, because we believe that if we merge this policy and train teachers in the similar way, then the child at that level will be denied access to quality caregivers meant for that level. And lastly, as we speak about that today, I also saw in the funding model, given your circular that you provided, already in the cluster funding of the higher education, the bachelors of education in ECDE is not going to be funded in that cluster. And there are already students in the university who are training as ECD professionals, and with the circular that you gave out in the cluster now that is just released in the 2026, those trainers will not benefit from government funding. And it's out of this great respect, peers, that we have requested you as the Council of Governors that please withdraw the circular and allow for proper consultation so that we can move forward together. Otherwise, as we paint a rosy picture or an unfortunate picture of ECDs, we also want to confess that we come from a very difficult ground, that these functions were not costed before they were given out to the counties. We have equally given an advisory to the counties as a chair of education that even as we struggle to give bursaries and support national government in a duty that they are supposed to be doing, our emphasis to counties is that we give more resources to vocational training centers, so that if we must support the children, we support in a more harmonized and a more intentional way, while not escaping from what has been devolved and what has been given to us. It is possible, PS, to put together, this is my view, all these bursaries that we have been giving out, from the ministry, from the governors, from the members of parliament. It is possible to put all this money together and provide free education for the nation, right from ECD all the way to the university. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. An applause for the panelists. Thank you, Governor. At least you are as converted as the Committee of Education that we can match things and go for free education. We need to start thinking how we can move towards that, and I think the PS has had. May I start with Senator Mariam, and then I come to Senator Moma, then I go to Murgor, then I'll come back to my senator here. Senator Mariam?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Session Chair. My question goes to the PS. Recently, there is a grade 10 student which was chased from the school because he is a Muslim. Because a Muslim only wear hijab. And I appreciate your direction, which you gave yesterday, that that you ordered that she must go back to school. I appreciate that. But my question is, because this is always recurring, it happened in 2022, 2019. So my question is, what measures do you take that this thing will not be recurrent? Secondly, what action have you taken from the school to the headmaster who chased away this grade 9 to grade 10 students? What action have you taken so that this cannot be recurrent? Thank you.
Thank you. I think I made I was supposed to invite the PS who was here before. Please move forward and take a seat, because your questions will also come forward.
Madam Chair.
Who is calling?
Madam Chair, there is also, to add on that, the Ministry 2023, they wrote a directive, March 2022 directive to copy to the TSC, to all directors of education, to the counties. So if your directive, which you have wrote in 2023, cannot take actions, cannot be implemented by the counties, by the head teachers, what is your reaction on this one, on this chasing of these grade 10 students? Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Betty?
Thank you, Chair. Mine is on Thank you, Chair. We know that children and also the development of brain, the most crucial age is between 0 to 8 years. And that is where the ECD falls in. My question is, ECD teacher-pupil ratio in Kenya, or ratio, is 1 to 25. But in reality, in public schools, it is 1 into 60, 70, and even above. What is the ministry doing to ensure that they increase the number of teachers to have the ratio to the recommended 1? Finally, what is the strategy to ensure that ECD teachers are adequately prepared to handle CBE? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think those questions will go to both the Chair of Education in the Council of Governors and the PS. Senator Muma.
Thank you, Chair. My first question, or my first point is to appreciate PS Aurelia. When the Department for Parliamentary Liaison was established, many of us were wondering what this is all about. But from your presentation, I actually appreciate that such a department makes sense. My question to you is, are you able to quickly follow up on the development of regulations after Parliament has passed laws? I'll give an example. Persons with Disabilities Act had a tax exemption for parents of severely disabled children. The law was passed in last year, June. Regulations have not been made. So many parents want this to happen. The National Council for Persons with Disability and the Ministry, the Treasury, and the Ministry of Labor are just tossing those parents around instead of moving. Who is it who should help to trigger that to happen? To the team from education, the first question is the Intergovernmental Relations Sector Committee on Education functional? And if it is, can both of the Council of Governors and the PS tell us where the 55% of learners who finished Form 4 and have not gone to the TVETs, national TVETs, or the universities are? And this is every year. If you talk about last year, it's maybe about 500. The year previous, 500. Who is taking care of those? How many are going to VTCs, and where are the others? Then for Governor, you are excused for not doing ECDs because it was not costed. Were bursaries for primary schools and universities costed? And how come you have a huge budget, and you might want to tell us how much money collectively the counties have given to bursaries in secondary schools, to universities, including universities in Uganda, which is not your function, but you're not building ECDs.
Thank you. Senator Mulgo was next.
Thank you very much, panel chair or session chair. I have two questions. I want to the education PS, and that is on the changes that have taken place from 844 to where we are today, which I don't know exactly what it is. And many parents now cannot actually put a finger on the system that you go from this to that. It is all still confusing. Why did we change it in the first place? Did we decide to do that, to chase after some system, maybe American system, maybe British or whatever it is, because we are actually as a country still lost as to what the system is. And then secondly is on ECDE, and I would like even the chair, the Council of Governors chair on education to also chip in this because I don't know if he has a clue what is happening in other counties. Like my county, for example, ECDE is not a priority at all. And the government, the county government, has put a lot of emphasis on secondary education and college education and TVET and so on. And as Senator Muma has mentioned, even bursary has gone as far as Australia, supporting children of the executive. And so classrooms are in a very, very bad state in some of the settings, and some of them under trees, and then learning materials down to near zero, and then feeding program.
Please summarize. Go straight to the question so that we are faster.
Yes, and the teachers are taken in circles on their salaries and other benefits. They are told by next month, by 6 months, and so on. And so they are so frustrated. And so my question is, how can the ministry straighten this mess so that it is clearly into the mind and system of counties that ECDE is theirs and must be done?
Okay. The next three, AC, Mandago, and Eddie.
Thank you very much, Session Chair. Now, my first question has been asked, Governor Mutahi. There is no excuse for counties on matters ECDE, particularly when you touch on resources. Having been a governor myself, I want to tell you, Kericho County government started with an allocation of about 3.5 billion in 2013. Today, Kericho County government receives in excess of 7 billion. Was in Gishu, by that time was receiving about 4 billion. It is now receiving in excess of 8 billion. There is no excuse. Let's concentrate on our mandates. And I want to thank the session chair. When she was a senator in the parliament of 2017-2022, they actually passed, made sure that the policy was passed on the issues of promotion, recruitment, remuneration of ECD teachers. What is remaining, Governor, is implementation. Number two, I would want to ask the PS for basic education whether the ministry has a policy for funding students in private universities, depriving national or public universities of the needed enrollment so as to be able to have sufficient resources to learn this university. And I want to give you a very good example. Moi University, in 2023, were allocated 5,000 students from a capacity that Moi University used to have an enrollment of excess of 18,000 teachers. And those students were taken to private universities, and other small universities, new universities were given in excess of 15,000 teachers without respecting the teacher-student or the lecturer-student ratio. Is there a policy, or we are continuing as a tradition of what had been established? For PS Aurelia, I would like to know, my Committee of Health in the Senate received a petition from the medical students of Kenyatta University on the use of KUTTRH as a teaching facility. We processed the petition and we made recommendations. Specifically, we recommended that the academic block that was built, designed for teaching and research, that had been rented out by KUTTRH, and the biggest tenant was WHO. I am also aware that the lease for WHO is expiring somewhere either this month or next month. What are you going to do to make sure that that academic block that was meant for teaching and research goes back to Kenyatta University School of Health Science so that they're able to use it for teaching? Madam Chair, just allow me 1 second so that PS might not have the benefit of the historical background of that matter. The issue was students of Kenyatta University who are supposed to be the owners of KUTTRH were actually not being given access to the use of the KUTTRH hospital. They were going to do their practicals in Kiambu. And Mount Kenya University, a private university, was the one actually utilizing the hospital that was conceptualized, designed, and built by Kenyatta University. I want you to make a very serious follow-up. We have had discussion with SCAC, we have had discussion with the university, and we agreed when the lease expires, that whole facility should go to the School of Health Science. Finally, allow me to chair one more question, because you know I have to tell Mutahi. On VTCs, Chair, you remember when you were a senator, the capitation for VTCs was actually transferred in that period of 2017-2022. The capitation for every VTC student was 13,000. It is part of the share of revenues counties are receiving. What you only need to do is go back and implement that. For every student you have in your VTC, give that VTC 13,000, and you will be surprised with the enrollment you will realize in the VTCs.
Thank you. I gave him leeway because of experience, so let's be more brief. Senator Esi.
Thank you, Session Chair. My question goes to the PS Basic Education. Apart from my legislative work, I equally donate books to schools, so this caught my attention. A few weeks ago, the Auditor General flagged off 540 million irregularities in distribution of textbooks to public schools. Please shed light on that, or if indeed that's the case, have any investigations begun on that matter? Thank you.
Senator.
Thank you, Session Chair. My question is to the PS. My question is actually 2 or 3 very quickly. Number one, PS, I've had a lot of cases in Migori County of people who finished, training long time ago as teachers, from 1998 all the way to 15 years. And in this massive recruitment, which I applaud the president for, having done over 76,000 teachers recruitment, could you give the country light on your prioritization schedule on teachers who graduated before, let's say 2 years ago? Because it's not clear who are these people who get opportunities when there are a lot of people who still claim that they graduated a long time ago and they never get opportunities. I would want to hear your response to that, and perhaps your commitment to the Senate, if you can give us a computation of how this map looks like in terms of prioritization of those people who are taken now in teachers currently. The second question is specific to Migori County. In your July 2025 revision of the classification of hardship, Migori County did not get classified as hardship areas, especially in 2 areas, Nyatike constituency and Kuria, both Kuria East and Kuria West constituencies. Yet the hardship that we face in those areas are the ones that we see in places like Mandera and other places. Is there a reason why Nyatike, Kuria East and Kuria West are not classified as such? Then first, do you have a multi-agency response to the current ongoing floods and rains that are making sure that some kids are not getting to schools in some areas such as Nyatike, Kuria, and the larger Migori areas where floods have been able to make it difficult for children to access schools? Is there any response to deal with these calamities to make kids be able to access schooling in these kind of areas? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mirach.
Asante Bi Mwenyekiti, swali langu litaenda moja kwa moja kwa PS. Nipende kumjulisha ya kwamba mtaala wa 844 unaisha mwaka wa 2027. Na kama sponsor wa Care and Protection of Child Parents, ambao maudhumuni yake ni kuhakikisha tunafikia ile article 43 1B ya kwamba watoto wetu wote wanapata haki yao ya masomo. Nimefatwa na zaidi ya wanafunzi 200 ambao wangetamani sana waweze kukelia huo mtihani wao kwa sababu walitelekezwa wakapata ujauzito wa mapema. So wameomba sana ni vipi watawezeshwa waweze kukelia huo mtihani kabla huu mtaala haujafungwa. Naomba unipatie mwelekeo ili nikirudi nyumbani niwe na majibu kwa hawa watoto ambao wanataka kuazimia kumaliza masomo yao. Asante.
Thank you. The panelists would like to take that first round, then I will start with Senator Wakol when I come round, round 2. Please go ahead. We'll start with the governor.
Thank you so much. Also, for the benefit of insight, I appreciate the senators for the sharing of their experiences on these matters. I would wish to indicate that on matters ECD training and preparation for CPC curriculum, the counties have constantly and consistently organized for training in service and constant training of those teachers so that they are prepared to handle the CPC curriculum at their level. Number 2, a question has been raised that the teacher ratio is ideally supposed to be 1 to 25, 1 teacher to 25, and I agree totally as a professional teacher myself. The reality is that because of the scarce resources, most of the counties have not been able to reach that targeted ratio. But I believe, and we have given us advisory to governors in the council, that as you continue to commit resources, we recommit more resources to employ more teachers so that at least that ratio gap is met. I totally agree with the sentiments of bursaries, which in the past were being dished out haphazardly to institutions which is not within the mandate of the counties. It was insane that county governments could at some point even budget pastors to secondary school. And as COG, as we speak today, we have given out advisory as a council, and most of the commitment that we are giving to this Senate is that much resources will be given to the FTCs and also to the ECD Foundation. We have developed a curriculum, a scheme of service for the ECD teachers across that guides the counties in consultation with SRC, which is fully developed. Most of the counties have been able to implement the schemes of service. Kericho, for example, and my senator is here, I see he's smiling and he's appreciating that in Kericho, we are leading in the pack. In fact, my teacher now, my ECD teacher of certificate is earning 25,000 at the 28th of the month. In fact, I pay more than what the national government is paying their interns in the junior secondary school, because they are paying, I think, 18,000. But my certificate teacher is earning 25,000. My diploma teacher is earning 3,000. My degree teacher is earning 40,000. And the 1,600 teachers are all on permanent and pensionable terms. Other counties like Kitui, Kirinyaga have done likewise, while other counties, and I give you, I'll cite an example of the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet, which in terms of the budget they receive, if today they decide to onboard all these teachers on permanent pensionable term, that county will be reduced to be an HR county for payment because the entire budget would collapse. So there are attempts that we are moving towards that as we even build classrooms. Lastly, was a question on the FTCs. I agree with the sentiments of the senators. And I agree with the question that somebody asked, where are these children? It is a very good question. Most counties have been able to revamp their FTCs. I'll cite for you a case of Kericho County. What we did, for example, is intentional campaign where we intentionally gave capitation and scholarship to those guys in FTCs. And the turnaround is massive because once we did this campaign, once we gave them the free scholarship, last year alone, we were able to graduate 3,800. And this year, we have 5,000 that already are in their classrooms. And this is happening across most of the counties as we continue to encourage counties to reform the FTCs because this is a solution to the politics. However, Session Chair, I would not want to leave without mentioning this, that we are equally working on a schemes of service for the FTC trainers. And this is, we appreciate the Ministry of Education, which we have been working very closely with them and the School of Deveta in terms of harmonizing curriculum to guide the instructors within those levels. Thank you so much. I think I've tried.
Thank you, Governor. Please avoid majority of the counties because he has a contrary report. That's why she's in a hurry to answer.
Yes, Chair, if you can give me a minute, Chair. Maybe I'm glad that the Chair, COG, has mentioned that going forward, they're going to work hard on matters budgetary, because from what we have seen and from all the counties that we have gone for an oversight visit, most of these counties actually budget more for bursaries and scholarships than they budget for ECDE, which is not their function. Actually, we are aware that most county governments are now signing intergovernmental partnerships with the Ministry of Education using Article 189 of the Constitution so as to offer bursaries and scholarships. And I hope before the end of this session, you are going to explain more on that. Number two, the issue of ratio to teachers, teachers to student ratio was brought up, and I want to put to you today that in most counties, actually we've been to 29. Maybe if we talk about 25 of the counties, the ratio is actually up to even 1 to 100. So please, when you are giving those answers, I hope that you are going to elaborate more on that and give us a way forward of what you are going to do, because that is what we are looking for. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair, for highlighting those. PS.
Thank you very much, Senator Chair. Allow me to begin by answering the question by Governor Mutahi on this training of ECD teachers. I want to say that, as I said in my speech, we are open for further consultations. And right now, apart from the someone from the Senate, from the chair of the Senate Committee of Education, we have not received any formal request to withdraw that circular. And I call upon the Council of Governors. You can give us an official communication so that we can be able to engage on a transitional arrangement. We are ready. However, it is important to note that this matter has been taken to court and is in court. But we can still take some action, some administrative action to ensure that we agree on the way forward. Coming back to Senator, is it Senator Maina who asked about grade 10? Senator Mariam asked about what action have we taken about the case of a child in Luak Secondary School. Of course, as the ministry, we have taken a decisive action to ensure that the child is back to school. As we speak now, the child has gone to school. However, I want to say that the question of hijab in that school is not a legal issue. It's a social issue. It's a social issue. The Ministry of Education is very clear on this matter. The law is very clear that no child shall be discriminated on religion, on any other, for any other reason. So we are very clear on this issue. However, it's important to note that we are still doing investigation to understand really what happened on that particular case. And we have given very clear instructions to our field officers that if they detect any of these kind of behaviors, they should report as soon as possible. Coming back to Senator Beth, who asked me about the ratio, teacher-student ratio. Right now, we have 12 million students in primary, junior, and secondary school, against 458,000 teachers. So as we speak, the ratio is 1 to 26 right now. And the government will continue employing teachers. The international UNESCO standard for teacher-student ratio is 1 to 25. But in Kenya, we are doing 1 to 26. So we are doing fairly okay. However, it's important to note that the distribution of some of these teachers still remains an issue, a major issue. And I call upon the senators, Honorable House, through the Speaker, to help us really deal with this issue of distribution. We find that as much as we meet the demand, some of the teachers are concentrated in some areas of this country and very few in some other areas of this country. And it's really a very unfortunate issue. When you look at the statistics, we are okay. But when it comes to distribution, it becomes a major issue. Coming back to the question by Senator Muma as to whether what happens to 55% of the students who are not qualified to go to university, I want to say that there was an improvement overall on KCSE this year. This year, 27% of the students qualified to join university. The international standard is that 30% of the students need to qualify. That is, out of 980,000, 270,000 qualified. And we are within the ranges. But the remaining students who don't qualify to the university have opportunities. They have opportunities in TVETs, they have opportunities in VTCs, they have opportunities in teacher training colleges, KMTCs, and many, many other opportunities. And from where I sit, there's really a lot of improvement in enrollment to our TVETs. About 3 years ago, we had about 150,000 students in our TVETs. Right now, as we speak, we are now doing 800,000, and they're increasing. So there are more opportunities in our tertiary institutions that can be able to take care of the 55% of the students who don't qualify to go to university. Senator Murgor asked a question on competence-based education, or CBC. Why did we change in the first place? As a teacher, Senator Murgor, through the chair, it is important to note that curricula is dynamic and it should reflect the national needs of a nation. And every after some time, a nation should review their curricula to see whether it reflects the national needs or rather it captures the national interest of a nation. 844 system has served us for more than 40 years. And it has done very well to bring as many people as possible. The reason why we had to change from 844 to CBE, competence-based education, is because competence-based education focuses more on the skills, the talent, the competences, the abilities of a child. If you are good in music, for example, you are given a chance to start learning music early in your education. If you are good in science, you are given an opportunity to do STEM and to do sciences early in senior school. What 844 was not able to capture. You can remember, when we are transitioning from junior to senior school, we now have specializations, 3 specializations. We have STEM, we have social science, we have arts and sports. Something that is not in 844. In 844, you do 8 subjects, everybody does 8 subjects, and that is it. So, the new curriculum is what the world is going through. If you look at many countries, even the Canada, Finland, US, everybody's trying to give every learner an opportunity to do best that thing that they know and that they're talented in. And that is why we had to shift from 844 to competence-based education. Coming to the question by Senator Mandago on the policy of admission to universities. Over the years, we've seen there's been a shift in policy on private universities. During the previous government, private universities used to get capitation or money from the government. When this government came to power, that policy has changed. It has changed. Private universities no longer get money from the government to support the students like before. And the main criteria used, or rather the main policy used by COOPs to take students is largely capacity, performance of the student. If you are very good in sciences, chances are that you'll get to medicine and such other programs. And also the choices of the students. There are students who choose, instead of going to University of Nairobi, they can choose Daystar University to do a certain course, because the story is in Daystar University, this course is being offered there and they like it. So it's about choice, it's about capacity, but by and large, the new funding model has streamlined higher education by and large. And students now are being given opportunity to choose from whatever university they want to go, whether it is private or is public. Senator Esi asked about books, and I have the CEO of KICD here. Allow me, Madam Chair, to request the CEO of KICD to respond on the issue of books. Professor Ongondo is here, if I'm allowed by the standing orders, to allow him to comment.
Let's get him last.
Yes.
Yeah, just hold on with that question. Let's get to PS Aurelia first. Then we'll take I think there are only four hands that were up.
Yes,
so we'll address that one last.
There's one more question, Senate Chair. No, two more questions. One from the Senator of Bigori, who asked about teachers' employment and what really is a priority. I think the major consideration in employment of teachers is the year of graduation. The system TSC is using to hire teachers, the 100,000, has been those who graduated earlier are given first priority. That is the policy across the board. And when they are ranking, usually those who graduated earlier are given higher marks in the grading so that you arrive at who gets. In as far as hardship is concerned, this is a controversial issue. And this issue remains a sticky issue. As you may recall, the PCS, about 6 months ago, issued a circular on issues of hardship, and it became very controversial because different government agencies consider different places as hardship. Right now, consultations are going on to really arrive at a consensus on what really constitutes an hardship. And we request the support of senators so that we can be able to arrive at a proper criteria. Because what TSC considers hardship, another ministry doesn't consider hardship, another agency doesn't, and then it becomes really a very mixed area. So right now, as we speak, there are consultations to ensure that we arrive at a consensus on which areas of this country qualify to be called hardship. On floods, Senator from Migori, there is a multi-agency team led by the Deputy President's Office and the State Department for Special Programs that is working on the floods. And resources have been provided by the donors to ensure that we handle the issue of floods and the issue of drought around the country. Those are some of the natural disasters we have around the country. Senator Miraj, the government is very clear on the issue of early pregnancies and children who drop out of school. Last week, I had gone to Kisii County to receive 200 girls who are dropped out of school because of pregnancy. The government is very clear. We are encouraging every child to go back to school, whether they are pregnant or they are not pregnant or whatever, for whatever reason. So our policy is very clear. We want every child to go back to school. And I've been leading that quest to ensure that we mop all our girls from, and we are working very closely with our security agencies, and we are saying anybody who is found interfering with our young girls should be brought to book. And we are very clear on that policy. Thank you, Senator Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator. PS Aurelia.
Thank you very much, Session Chair, Senator Professor Kamar. I have two questions. The first question was from Senator Muma, who just stepped out, but I'll continue to respond. Senator Muma asked us whether we, as the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, are able to follow up on the statutory instruments after the passage of a law in Parliament. The response is yes. We coordinate policies, bills, we call them, before it's drafted by the AG officially, and statutory instruments. That's why we've been able to transition about 202 out of the 654 that are in the schedule. It's only that when the State Department was still very new, it's about 2.5 years financial year, as I said earlier, and we had to do a lot of work to get staff to be able to do this work. But that is what we do. In fact, we've communicated to the MDAs to ensure that they have regulations ready, even as they wait for the passage of a law, so that once that law is approved, is passed, and is assented to, the regulations are ready so that we don't waste much time waiting for them to be processed. So we are aware that there are some laws, like what Senator Muma had mentioned, and we are taking note of that to go and follow up on the processing of the same, because that is what we do. Item 2, question 2, was from Senator Mandego, touching on the resolution on a petition that is touching on Kenyatta University Teaching, Research and Referral Hospital. I said earlier that the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs is following up, tracking with MDAs on the resolutions of Parliament and executive undertakings in Parliament. You've said it has taken quite some time, but I will go back to the ask that I did earlier, that please share with us our Senate, share with us the resolutions immediately they are passed by the Senate, so that we get the opportunity to track the ministry or the agency that is responsible to ensure that it is implemented, and we communicate back to you. This one we will surely do, and I said earlier, we appreciate the resolutions that we received towards the end of last year. We thank the clerk and the entire Senate fraternity for that support. Once we have them, we surely promise that we shall coordinate the agencies involved, and we will be communicating to you on the status of their implementation. So Senator Mandego, we've picked that, and we will ensure that we track it and communicate back to Senate on the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to beg the members that we still have a session. They have 2 or 3 governors still seated waiting for that session. Can we take the shortest time possible? Just go direct to the question. I'll start with Wakoli Wafula, then I'll come to Bituku, then I'll come to
Thank you.
Then I'll come. Yes, KCD will speak last.
Thank you, Prof, for this opportunity. One, I want to ask our good peers that we have local schools that are closing down because we have big schools absorbing many grade 10 students, up to 10 streams. And during those times, you could go to look for space. They will tell you, we don't have any space in this school. But today, it seems like there is more grace for space. Are they pursuing quality education, or they are pursuing a capitation which will be shared among ministry officials and TSC and the management of the schools? Number 2, I don't know which institution will oversight and follow up on the schemes of service of ECDs and vocational training centers. Because where we sit now, they have no union, they have no one to fight for them. They are at the mercies of governors and the ministries of education. The job groups, the way they are located, it is in a sham. So who is going to ensure, either from the national government, that our good governor who is seated here does not employ because of benevolence or because of political expediency?
Point taken.
Thank you.
Point taken.
Point of information.
No, not now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just 2 quick ones to the PS. One, PS, it is estimated that we have 2 million special needs kids. Out of these, only 2% are in school or have formal education. What is your ministry doing to address this? And 2, yes, you paid 44 billion in capitation in January, but cumulatively there is 64 billion which is owed from 2018 to 2025. What are you doing with those historical debts? Thank you.
Thank you. Eddie,
Yeah,
who do you want to inform?
Madam Chair, you remember we worked on a bill on early childhood education together with you that has just passed Senate, that is now in National Assembly, that is dealing with the scheme of service of teachers as well as looking at their remuneration to be able to make it to be at par, at least with their qualifications. So what I would perhaps urge the majority whip to do is to appeal to the National Assembly to fast-track that bill, because we already passed that bill in the Senate.
Thank you, Eddie, but the governors will tell you they also have already something they are working on, and we found that in the field. Thank you, Senator Oyomo.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Whip, I'm on the floor. Thank you, Chair. PS Rono, amongst the regulations you are going to follow up with, kindly follow with the Ministry of Mining, because royalties cannot be paid to communities and counties because the ministry has yet to prepare the regulations. Yet it is communities and counties that preserve and protect the natural resources. To the PS, the ministry promised that all schools should have JS, and that is the expectations of Kenyans. And yet there are schools who don't have. So learners have to walk long distances that compromise access to education. And lastly, I do not know what the ministry is going to do about learning areas that were not captured with the pupils that have transited now to the senior school. There are big gaps with some of those students. There is need to give attention to those learning students, pupils that did not have teachers that covered all the learning areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wakwabi.
Thank you, Session Chair. My name is Senator Wakwabubi, not Wabi. Thank you. So my concern is cross-board, and I would like to begin by saying that basic education, that is ECD, is the basic foundation for any scholarly pursuits, and therefore we need to give it the necessary attention that it requires. I want us to look at food, the supply of food. Majorly we do porridge and some other small items. Senator Wafula, kindly protect me from Senator Wafula. He's busy smiling at me. He will deviate me from what I would want to present.
People miss smiles.
So, I wanted to say this, that we need to enhance the school feeding programs for retention. While I was growing up, we used to take the Moi milk, and it really kept us in school. So we need to enhance the retention of the school feeding programs, especially in food insecure counties that we have. And we also need to have a sustainable model of maybe retaining whatever incentives that we are giving to retain our students in school, our learners in school. Then we also need to diversify schooling options, especially in pastoralist areas, so that we can also have maybe evening classes, because some of these learners cannot be kept in school or cannot be found in the morning or afternoons. Then there is this issue on security. Nobody has talked about it, and I think it is a concern, because you find that most of the learners are abducted along the way while they are going to school, and therefore we need to encourage the department concerned that let us conceptualize the laws and enforce the laws, especially the Children Act 2022, Basic Education Act, the TVET Act, and the Universities Act. And finally, let's look at the absorption strategy. We are churning out a lot of graduates, but they are going nowhere. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Senator Wakwabubi. This time I'll get it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Session Chair.
Finally, I think finally it's Senator Oya. We still have one more.
Yeah,
Senator
thank you.
Tangwa.
Thank you very much. Mine is just an inquiry. Where are we as a country towards achieving free primary education and free secondary education? Because, Chair, let me just break it down for you. The recipe, or what you require to be a learned person, you need a teacher, you need the materials, which is the books, you need a classroom, and you need the pupil or the learner. Now, the learners are there for free. The classes are there because maybe they're built by CDF or they're being built by CDF. The teachers are already there. They're being paid by government. So the only cost that we have is probably textbooks or books. Why can't the government just do what they used to do before by printing these books for the students or providing it in PDF format? Because the government owns the curriculum, the government owns the syllabus, so the government can have already PDF books for the students, so that we don't use the money that the public coffers give to buy books from the private publishers. I believe if the country can print ballot boxes, ballot papers for everybody in this country, I believe they can print books for the students. Why can't we just go to other direction of realizing that this education is supposed to be free and the only costly thing is the books, which now with digital kind of technology, you can give a PDF and a parent can go and print a book wherever they want.
Thank you, Senator. Finally, Senator, our Vice Chair of the Water.
Thank you, Madam Professor. My question is to you, Honorable PS. To balance out the disparity in the teacher-to-student ratio, can we get a precise and clear reason as to why the JSS and interns have not been confirmed countrywide, and what exactly is the delay? Because these young people are going through a lot of frustration, yet they want to serve our country. Thank you.
I invite the professor to come forward and answer on the books. And while I do that, there are two things that I thought we may have missed. PS has answered about, did not answer about students going to private universities, but I think he answered his way. Our way in Senate is that governors are actually sponsoring students to go to private universities. So it may not be yours. It might belong to the governor. No, the backlog, I think they are still dealing with the backlog, those who had been given. But otherwise the policy came out and I don't think they are being paid anymore. Number two, and my chair, just in case my chair forgets, the issue of, there's now a conflict between VTCs and TVET institutions on the numbers. And I remember we went to a county and we were told that they don't have enough students because the students that go to the VTCs, that is now the TTI, are sponsored, while the ones in VTCs are not sponsored. We need your comment, Governor. Professor, please come.
Thank you very much, my teacher, Professor Kamar. Mr. Speaker, sir, and all the senators, I'm really humbled to stand before you. It's my first time in life, and I hope, Professor Chair, you will allow me to greet the Speaker after this. Will be historical. The question was on the matter that has been raised by the Auditor General on distribution of textbooks. There are three main issues that the Auditor General raised. One of them is oversupply, another one is undersupply, and the third one was supposedly supply of textbooks that are not relevant to schools. The answer to them lies on the data that the Auditor General relied on the numbers of learners in schools that were provided in NEMIS. Yet, when we distribute books to schools, we use actual numbers that are provided to us by the relevant directors at the ministry on the actual numbers of learners at school at that time. And my PS is on record even today saying that a verification exercise has been carried out which has discovered that there were discrepancies earlier on the numbers on NEMIS, and going forward we should be able to use actual numbers. And that is the clarification that we have given to the Office of the Auditor General. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, Just in 1 second while Professor is still standing. So which one is the accurate figure? Is it the one the officers are submitting or the one from NEMIS? Because I thought the one from NEMIS is tied to a birth certificate, at least to give some accuracy. The one from the officers can be just a list of names, and you're not used to work in TSC.
Thank you very much, my governor at Wasingishu. My PS has clarified, and even the CS is on record, that the numbers that were on NEMIS were not an accurate reflection of the numbers of the learners on the ground. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Now you earn a handshake with the speaker. And while he's doing that, I just wanted to add something, PS, on the policy on who goes to university. Does a diploma still go to university? Are universities still allowed to deal with diploma candidates? Those are the candidates below C+. And the last one is, we have found that TTIs are now taking the students for trade tests. What is the policy? Who should be giving trade tests? Because this is where the confusion is. TTIs are taking trade tests apart from the diploma courses. I will ask each one of you to take 1 minute. I don't know how you will sort the 1 minute.
So I go first?
Yes.
Thank you. One is that in the 1 minute, I want to confirm to distinguished senators and this House that there is an existing scheme of service which was done way back by the Council of Governors in consultation with the CRC, and that is what we are currently implementing. Number two, on the school feeding program, we are working on a policy with my committee and the Committee of Health to come up with a standardized feeding policy that guides the feeding of our children across the counties. On fetuses and TFETs, I agree, Professor Kamar, on your sentiments. Ideally, fetuses are supposed to provide craft courses, which goes for a period of around 6 months, and it should be done, so that the TFETs handle the higher specialized levels. But as it is today, county fetuses and TFETs are struggling to offer the same courses, and we would wish maybe the PSS to move forward. We work on a policy and a more clear formula on who should be admitted to the fetuses and who should go to the TFETs. Because you have a county fetus here, and then less than a kilometer away, you have a national TFET institution. But ironically, all these children belongs to Kenya. And it defeats logic then why the government is educating, or rather giving out loans to students on TVET, but vice versa, the FTC are not receiving any of that support. And maybe going to the future, perhaps that should be looked into. And because I want to get back to this, Mike, I would want to say as a general observation that, yes, I know we have challenges as counties, and I commit to this House and we commit as governors that we will work hard to ensure that we focus on our mandate, which is the FTCs and ECDs. And lastly, distinguished senators and the peers, looking into the scope within our universities today, Professor Kamar will agree with me that one of the challenges we have even within our universities are arbitrary causes that the University Senate approves to create numbers in the universities. My proposal going to the future is that we go back to what it was before. When you could talk about University of Nairobi, it was known that this is what University of Nairobi is offering. Kenyatta University was known for the arts. Egerton University was known for this. But you'll find a university which was created for technology or for agriculture offering nothing completely even to do with that agriculture because of competition for numbers. And as it is today, the lecturers are even struggling. I am one of them. Before I joined politics, we used to moonlight and part-time. And I would confess, Professor Kamar, that we have universities to date that even lecturers are going on half salary because they cannot afford to pay them salaries. And we have universities which completely, for a period of 1 year or so, they're not being able to pay their lecturers completely. And out of this, then it compromise on the quality of learning towards the same. And maybe in the future, we strengthen University Senate to be able to generate their own resources because government cannot fund fully. But we challenge also the University Senate to be able to be more creative and generate more resources. Asante sana.
Thank you, PS. Or Chair, did you want to talk first?
Thank you, Session Chair. What I would say is with the establishment of the county education boards, I'm hoping and trusting that the national government will now enhance its primary duty as pursuant to Executive Order 2 of 2023 to undertake. These are the few challenges that we have encountered or we have come across, aligning the VTCs and TVET's programs and activities so that the VTC's learners don't feel left out by programs organized by the government, and also management of education standards as a whole, because this has been, whatever has been devolved has been left out to the county governments, and I think we are having a problem there. And also managing and organizing of curriculum development for VTCs, because that has not been done, and looking into special needs education management, because even that, it's also left out, and especially the county governments are not doing much. And also maybe, as it has been said by one of the senators, we need a constant school feeding program. These programs has helped retain learners in schools, and that is evident from what we've seen, not only in those hardship areas, but even in cities where we have so many schools in the informal settlements. I think that's what I would say for now.
Thank you, PS Aurelia. And maybe even as she talks about that, governors must, we would like the governors to think a little bit about what is food. Is food for the children a devolved function, or it is not? Think about it, because it is a right in the Bill of Rights, food and nutrition. So you need to think so that if it is a function that doesn't belong to you, you may wish to think deeply about it. We have been thinking about it as a committee of education, that maybe as we are pushing you to give food, and one governor told us, if I give food, I'll do nothing else, but just feed. So is food security actually yours? You need to think, and you can think later. I can see the chair of the Council of Governors would like to say something. I'll give you last, but let's allow PS Aurelia to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. It's just one item from Senator Beatrice on a regulation that has overstayed, that is impeding the payment of royalties. Thank you for bringing it up. I want to register our commitment as a State Department to follow up on that regulation and communicate. Otherwise, as a State Department, as I said earlier, that is coordinating government legislative agenda, we will not only be pushing or following these initiatives across the executive, but we commit to ensure that executive or government engages with Senate in a timely, orderly, and in a very honest manner. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Finally, PS.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Professor Kamar. Now, on the question by Senator Wafula on transition, I'm happy to inform the Senate, honorable senators, that we are almost achieving 100% transition from junior school to senior school. Of course, the system was very digital, was quite digital. We used a digital system to place students around the country. When we started, we had 1.5 million spaces and 1.1 million children. Meaning, after placement, we are going to have 400,000 extra slots with no children. That is the reality of it. And of course, we had a challenge when we were doing it, because 20 former national schools attracted more than 100,000 students. And yet their capacity only was about 10,000. So that was where the problem and the whole of this noise was. The likes of Kenya High, Alliance, Mangu, those are the schools everybody wanted to go to. Like one school was attracting almost 18,000 students, one school. And that is where the noise was coming from. But overall, we have been able to transition most of the students. In our first placement, we were able to place the entire 1.1 billion. But then we said, because of the parents who are interested in other schools, we gave them the first choice to revise. For the first time, we opened an opportunity for revision for senior school. First revision, 300,000 students revised. We processed 200,000. We allowed them to change the schools. And 100,000 were declined. We again opened after that for second revision. Another 200,000 again came by. We allowed 150,000. 50,000 were declined. And that is the process we have been going through to ensure that every child in this country gets an opportunity for senior school. The second question by Senator Mbugua on the issue of capitation. The government does not have any debt on capitation. Capitation is a recurrent expenditure. We release all the money we receive as Minister of Education that is budgeted for capitation to the schools. And if there is money that does not get to a school for one reason or another, then that money is not being budgeted by the National Assembly. So there is no debt whatsoever. There is no debt on capitation. What we are doing now, we are trying to ensure that capitation is in school before schools open every term. And we are asking the principals, after you receive capitation, ensure that you digitally transmit your returns of the number of students in the school, of the amount of money you have received, and if there is any shortfall, we're able to really bridge that gap. Senator Oyoma asked me about the JS. Right now, Honorable Senators, through the chair, we have 20,000 junior schools around the country. Every day, we have requests of schools who want to open the junior school in their schools. And we are granting them that if they meet the criteria, we have a set criteria of how to open our junior school. And we continue doing it every day through our quality assurance department. And we are very clear. And for those learners who are transitioning, who didn't have the right learning skills, we are saying 51 of the learners are doing STEM. 30% of the learners are doing social sciences. And 10% are doing arts and sports in grade 10. Senator Wakwabubi asked about feeding program. We believe that feeding program is an integral part of our education system. It is so important. Right now, we have 2.8 billion learners in primary and junior under the feeding program. And we continue supporting them. And we want to encourage the county governments to come up with a framework. We work together, we come up with a framework so that we have all the learners right from ECD, primary to junior, getting into a feeding program, because that is what has encouraged more and more of our learners to be able to be retained in school. Senator Dagwa gave a comment and a proposal on why do we still need to print textbooks? Why don't we go PDF? I think that's a brilliant suggestion, and we are keen. That's where we are now going with chemists. Right now we have a project working with Minister of ICT. We are rolling out 25,000 laptops in our schools, primary schools particularly, and smart boards. And that is where we are heading to now. We want to ensure that we leverage on technology to ensure that we reduce even the number of books, we reduce even the learning. One teacher can be able to teach now more students. That's the direction we are going. Senator Zena asked about JS. Why have we not confirmed them? We have a program to confirm all our JS teachers. As you are aware, last year we hired 20,000 JS teachers. And the president has pronounced himself on this issue, that starting January this year, the entire 20,000 will be confirmed. We have also taken last month, we have taken another 24,000. And we are taking them through internship for 2 years, and thereafter, they will be automatically confirmed under permanent and pensionable. So that is a program that is ongoing, and because of budgetary constraints, we are staggering it so that we can so that the government can be able to meet and be able to accommodate everybody. Senate Chair, Senator Kamar, asked about private universities. I think Governor Mutahi should be able to answer why they are paying fees for students who are in private universities. Then that was your question. And the policy on whether the universities are supposed to train diploma and the line between vocational training and TVETs. I think there's a thin line there, and we need to consult more so that we get clarity on which universities, which TVETs, which vocational training should train what, so that we reduce the overlaps and waste of government resources. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, members. Can an applause for this team, please? Chair of COG, I prefer that you answer your question alongside all the intergovernmental issues that are going to come, because the next session is yours. I want to thank this team most sincerely for the time they have given us and release them warmly. Thank you very much. May I therefore invite the next chair of the session, Senator Catherine Muma, to take to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Sincere apologies to this particular panel.